Hi friends! Today I will tell you a story about myself and my scary experience with Peppa the pig herself. It all be Egan in Avatar World. Avatar World was a magical place. The skies sparkled like diamonds, the streets shimmered with soft glowing lights, and the trees in the gardens were adorned with radiant flowers that glowed in blues, purples, and greens. For 10-year-old Rose, this enchanting world was home, and she loved exploring its wonders. Most afternoons, Rose would sit in her favorite spot at the park, sketching the colorful scenery in her notebook. She enjoyed drawing everything, from the glowing rivers to the animals with bright patterned fur. It was peaceful and calm, just the way she liked it. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in streaks of gold and pink, Rose noticed something unusual. A strange hum filled the air, growing louder and louder. She looked up from her sketchbook and saw a swirling light appear in the middle of the path. The light expanded into a glowing portal, and out of it stepped a small pink figure. Rose blinked, unsure if her eyes were playing tricks on her. "Hello," the figure said in a cheerful, high-pitched voice. It was a pig, a small pig, wearing a bright red dress. Rose stared in disbelief. Hi? Who are you?" "I'm Peppa Pig," the pig replied, her smile wide. But there was something odd about her eyes. They seemed to glow faintly red, and her smile didn't feel entirely friendly. Peppa was her favorite TV character, and seeing her here, popping out of thin air, made her not want to be around for long at all. Rose hesitated. She had seen strange creatures in Avatar World before, but this was different. "Are you lost?" she asked. Peppa nodded. "I came through the portal. Can I stay with you and your family until I figure out how to get home?" As soon as she finished her sentence, a weird smile crept up on Peppa's face, and Rose took a notice. Rose wasn't sure. There was something about Peppa that made her uneasy. But she didn't want to be rude, so she said, "Okay, you can stay for a little while." Peppa's smile grew wider. "Thank you, Rose. That's very kind of you." As they walked back to Rose's house, Peppa's hooves clicked softly on the glowing stones of the path. The cool evening breeze carried the scent of flowers, but Rose couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. When they arrived at the house, Rose introduced Peppa to her family. Her parents were kind and welcoming, and her little sister Lily was delighted. "She's so cute," Lily giggled, hugging Peppa tightly. Peppa laughed softly, but the sound sent a shiver down Rose's spine. It was too sharp, too hollow. That night, Peppa slept on a pile of blankets in Rose's room. Rose tried to fall asleep, but the uneasiness lingered. Whenever she shut her eyes, she would see Peppa's smile in her dreams. This was odd, because she didn't remember Peppa from the show have that sinister smile. She kept glancing at Peppa, who lay perfectly still, her smile frozen on her face. Sometime in the middle of the night, Rose woke to a faint giggle. She sat up and looked around. Peppa was gone. "Peppa?" Rose whispered, her voice trembling. She heard soft footsteps moving down the hallway toward Lily's room. Rose's heart raced as she climbed out of bed and followed the sound. She peeked into Lily's room and froze. Peppa was standing by Lily's crib, her red eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. "Peppa, what are you doing?" Rose demanded. Peppa turned slowly, her smile sharper than before. "Just watching," she said in a low, chilling voice. Rose's stomach churned. Seeing her little sister sleep so peacefully while someone was staring her down at night sent shivers down her spine. Yet she still mustered up some courage and said, "Come back to bed," she said firmly, trying to keep her voice steady. Peppa tilted her head, her smile never wavering. "Of course," she said, and walked past Rose, humming a strange, eerie tune. The next morning, odd things began happening around the house. Lily's favorite doll disappeared, only to reappear on the kitchen counter with its eyes scribbled over in red crayon. The lights flickered whenever Peppa entered a room, and muddy hoof prints appeared on the floor, leading from the front door to the living room. Rose tried to tell her parents, but they dismissed her concerns. She felt off about her parents. It's like they weren't the same mom and dad Rose knew. "Peppa's just a guest," her mom said. "You're imagining things." But Rose knew something was wrong. That night, she woke again to whispers echoing through the house. She sat up and saw shadows moving on the walls, shadows that didn't match Peppa's still form. "Stop it," Rose whispered, but the shadows only laughed. The next day, Rose decided she had to protect her family. She stayed close to Peppa, observing her carefully. Peppa seemed fascinated by shiny objects. Her mom's jewelry, the glowing crystals in the garden, and most odd of them all, the kitchen knife. Rose even caught a glance of Peppa playing around with it, giggling to herself. Rose came up with a plan. She gathered all the shiny objects she could find and placed them in an old toy chest in the living room. She left the lid slightly open, hoping to lure Peppa inside. She wasn't sure if her plan would work or not, but it was worth a try, especially since her family were in the line. Rose was adamant. Even if this didn't work out, she would find another way. But she would get to the bottom of this Peppa situation. That evening, Rose pretended to go to bed early, but she stayed awake, hiding at the top of the stairs. Sure enough, Peppa appeared in the living room, her red eyes gleaming. She moved slowly toward the toy chest, her hooves clicking on the floor. "What's this?" Peppa murmured, peeking inside. Peppa then picked up a knife from the chest and started playing around with it, with that sinister smile still on her face. Peppa then mumbled to herself, "Wonder what tricks I could pull off with this knife?" Oink oink. Rose had heard enough. As soon as she leaned over, Rose sprang from her hiding spot and slammed the lid shut. "Let me out!" Peppa shrieked, her voice echoing unnaturally. The sudden change in her voice convinced Rose whatever was trapped in the chest was not Peppa from the show. Instead, it was something more sinister pretending to be Peppa. Who knows what it was planning to do with her family? The chest rattled and shook, but Rose held the lid tightly. "You're not going to hurt my family!" she yelled. "Very clever, little girl. You and your family may have escaped my claws this time, but mark my words, I will return, and this is not the last you will be seeing of me. Next time, I might even bring a couple of my friends along. Watch your back, little girl." Peppa's voice grew quieter and quieter until it disappeared completely. The chest fell silent, and the air grew still. Rose's parents rushed into the room, alarmed. "What's going on?" her dad asked. "It was Peppa," Rose said, her voice shaking. "She wasn't a friend. She was something else, something bad." Her parents didn't completely understand, but they believed Rose. Together, they carried the chest to the garden and buried it under the glowing flowers. As they finished, the swirling portal appeared in the sky once more. Rose watched in awe as a new figure stepped out, a pig, but this one had kind eyes and a warm, genuine smile. "Hello," the pig said. "I'm Peppa Pig. I think I got lost." Rose stared. For an instant, Rose thought the evil Peppa had already returned, but then she realized that was not the case. "You're not the same Peppa," she said cautiously. Peppa nodded. "I think someone else came here in my place. I'm sorry if she caused trouble." Rose felt a wave of relief. "It's okay," she said. "She's gone now." Peppa smiled. "Thank you for helping fix my mess. You're very brave." Rose hugged Peppa and watched as she stepped back into the portal, disappearing into the light. From that day on, the house was peaceful again. Rose never saw evil Peppa again, but she kept her sketchbook and her wits close, ready for whatever adventure came next.